I'm Kim Duke, and I'm married to an addict alcoholic.
Hi, Kim. My name is Chris, and I am an addict alcoholic.
Hi. Oh, yeah. Hi, Chris. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I say hi, Kim?
Yeah.
You want to try it again?
No.
Okay.
It's just every week.
I'll just let people know that we're stroking out.
Yeah, we're having strokes over here.
I'm going to say right at the top, please subscribe to this channel that you're listening to right now, because these episodes are no longer going to be on DuckDuckGrayDuke. The Not So Anonymous has its own page, or it has its own channel. It has its own Instagram now too. You can go to @the_not_so_anonymous on Instagram. Just made it, and new Facebook page coming soon. But yeah, if you're listening to this, please subscribe to it. Don't just listen to the episode, because that'll make a huge difference. The whole catalog is on there, so every chapter is available if you haven't gone and listened to it. And it was kind of annoying to try and sift through all of the other shit that was on the old channel. Now it's just the Not So Anonymous, so you can have all of it on one channel and not be worried about hearing a bunch of random comedy stuff.
Yeah.
Which I still enjoy. I still love it. So I hope you guys, if you want to laugh, go over to those channels too. But if you're here for sobriety, then this is the channel. Mm-hmm. So subscribe, the Not So Anonymous Alcoholic. And that's my spiel. I just wanted to make sure we got it out of the way at the top there.
Okay. I'm glad you got it out of the way.
Because some people give up after 15 minutes, and I see the statistics, guys. Hang around for the whole thing.
Yeah, you might miss something important.
Yeah. Usually you miss something important.
Yeah.
If you're only listening for 15 minutes, there's a bunch of stuff to learn.
Yeah.
And we miss your questions.
Yeah. Oh, I do have a question.
Oh, you do?
This week. Yeah, I do.
Nice.
But I had a dream last night that you...
This is so funny.
I know. I think it's because we talked about that other thing. I had a dream last night that, because you hit how many days?
300.
So you hit 300 days and you're like, I hit 300. That's pretty good. And then you super went all out.
Went
and
off the rails.
Yeah. And wouldn't talk to me about it. And what the weird part was your family was just like, well, I mean, he did really good for 300 days. And I was like,
that's the scary thing. I know you're
and then it was just like, oh, okay, so we're just doing 300 days. And then, yeah, it was just crazy. And then I'm like, but all that money for treatment, they're like, well, you can do it again, right? It was just such an odd dream.
Yeah.
No one had emotion behind it. And I was just like, am I going crazy? But I also had a lot of strange dreams last night.
I have dreams of where you will enable me all the time. But I mean, it's weird. There are people who think I've gone long enough. I can be fine now. And it's weird this time of year, to think about, December is when shit really hit the fan. Like when it started to get really extreme in the conversations that we were having.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The People of Comedy show that I was on, that was that night that I couldn't drive home. Or one of the nights I couldn't drive home, I should say. But we had stuff we were supposed to do the next day. And
yeah, we were doing Christmas the next day, I think it was.
Yeah.
We were doing Christmas early. Yeah, it was around this time. That's crazy. Wow.
And so yeah, it's weird.
That's been a year. It doesn't even feel like December, honestly.
And it's weird to think about the stuff that I was doing, because I think around this time, oh man, there's still things we can't say, but there was things that were starting to happen that made me be more relaxed about how much I thought I could handle and then drive. And even now, like I can feel my brain being like, but yeah, you know, you don't swerve on the road. You're not like this and that, and which is so stupid to say. But it's weird that like this is when like stuff started to happen, and I wanted to. I this was around the time that like I started thinking about like cocaine for some reason, and I've said it a couple times, but like really the only reason I wasn't doing cocaine is because there was no cocaine around. And but back to the dream thing before I forget. We were just like I was listening to Hillary Duff and Whitney Cummings talk about Hillary Duff had a dream that her husband cheated, and he ended up apologizing because she made him feel so bad about this dream. I was like, I went into the bedroom and I was like, you guys are the same person.
We are the same person. Hillary, hit me up. We'll be besties on the Instagrams. We'll talk
Whitney.
Mom stuff.
I mean,
or Whitney,
because she's in sobriety.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my dream. It was really intense. I had other intense dreams, but that was the one that like I remembered a lot of details, and I just felt like I was the crazy person again. It was that awful feeling because it felt like that when you were like lying about how much you were drinking. I felt like that crazy person. Yeah.
And those are the parts of the dream that stick out the most to me is when substance is entertained. And then like certain things around that, like there'll be random activities like fishing, snowboarding, random things that for some reason marry with those things. But yeah, it's weird to think that like, you know, 300 days of sobriety, we're almost at a year. I'm not trying to downplay it, but it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Like, that you're getting close to your year mark? Or?
Yeah, because it's forever. So a date, like dates and numbers like shouldn't really matter. And I always feel weird when I, like the reason why I set the reminder on my phone is because I don't pay attention to the numbers.
Yeah, I don't either, I guess.
Like the 9-month thing popped up, but beyond that, like I've stopped really like paying attention to what's going on. Because I don't want it to feel like, oh, we passed this threshold and now we can like let up or something.
Yeah. I'll be hitting my year mark next month.
Nice.
And I think that's probably the longest. I'm trying to remember after I had Landon when I drank. I think it was 2 months after him. I had like a couple drinks. And Layla, it was probably a while too because I breastfed them both.
Yeah.
So it was probably over a year with both of them, but it's crazy.
But yeah, it's weird. And there's a thing that like sticks out of my head. There's this guy that he would do cocaine and drink, and he would say how when Friday would roll around, his nose would start to run because his body like knew to try and like clear up his canals because he must have. And I don't really know that world as well, but I mean, sure, you're blowing your nose and constantly trying to clear your nose up so you can snort that stuff. It's weird that like I had a similar kind of feeling. Like I used to just be so glad that the workday was over because then I could go and drink, like especially on a Tuesday night. I was like, all I have to do is drive like 5 minutes and I'm already at beer number 1. And yeah, I wonder like how my body's gonna react to certain things, like moving, because like I said, like this was the time when like the really intense shit started happening. So to think of, well, I mean, and there's a lot that I forget, but like habit wise, there's a lot of muscle memory that was going on, and things like that. So it's crazy.
It's crazy. Do you want me to bring up that question I got?
Yeah.
Okay. Now that Chris has been sober for 302 days?
Yeah.
Has he found that his relationships with friends or families have grown or become more or less sincere? I think it's changed with your parents.
I don't think so.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
What about your brothers?
I feel like that's stayed pretty much the same.
I think your relationship with Sean's stronger, though.
For sure.
Yeah.
And they don't get upset with me. You know what I mean? Like, being drunk was just one of many excuses to get pissed at me. But now that I don't have that,
yeah,
I haven't had an argument with one of my brothers. And there was usually a couple of arguments throughout the year. And
yeah.
haven't had any of this. And I don't think that's because they're like being gentle with me or anything.
Yeah, like walking on
eggshells.
eggshells.
It's just not. Well, no. They're not expecting me to fuck up in some way. So they're just alleviated from this thing, and they know that whatever they come to me with is a sober, like clear
mind. Yeah,
clear-headed version of whatever response they want to elicit or whatever event or something. Like, they don't. Any excuse that I come up with, it's me.
Yeah. I think friendships, some of them have changed. We had lots of friendships where we would like drink with people, and those have kind of dissipated. And
yeah, but I feel like that's because of COVID.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Like, I think it'd be totally different if we didn't have any restrictions and we weren't dealing with what we're dealing with. But like, we had Casey on Duck Duck Grey Duke, and at one point he was like, "Oh man, I have been loving these White Claws lately," and I just thought it was so funny because I don't think he definitely didn't know that was like one of like the catalysts for me, like, to make like drinking became easier because of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But he also like didn't really give a shit. Like, he could tell that I was in a good place and didn't feel weird about saying this thing that he enjoyed, which I appreciate that. If he kept going and was like saying how he mixed it and like shit like that, then I'd be maybe a little offended, because it's like, you don't need to go that deep into it.
Yeah.
But I like the normalcy that he came at that with.
Yeah. Well, it made my butthole clench up when I heard him say that.
I laughed. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. I was like, oh.
Because I think, like, even in my head, I was like, oh, he definitely doesn't know then.
Yeah.
Like, he knows that I'm sober, but like, he doesn't know that thing.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Just totally different from what that other comedian did.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Is your mom feeling better?
Yeah. I think so. She sounds better. Yeah. She's not as confused. Man, that COVID though, holy crap.
Yeah.
But definitely feeling better. Anxious to get back to work. Have to remind her, like, you gotta wait it out there. But I feel like when I saw her a couple weeks ago, she must have had it then. And if I didn't get it then, and then I didn't get the second time around, I don't think she's shedding the virus anymore. I think she had to have had it back then. Because I was trying to figure out timeline with my dad, because he's like, he wears his mask constantly in the house.
What does shedding the virus mean?
Like that, like being
contagious?
Yeah. But they call it shedding for some reason. But yeah, he's been wearing a mask in the house, and he has Clorox wipes and Lysol and all that. And she stays up in her own area, but he's just like concerned about himself. And he's always been pretty worried about getting it himself. So living with someone that has it, he's been a little more, but he's very excited about the vaccine. He made that very clear to me. He's like, I think he's in the second or third group to get it. I think he's second group.
What do you mean?
Well, healthcare workers that work with COVID and residents in nursing homes is like the first group that they're saying is going to get the vaccine. And then he's elderly, he's older, so he would get the vaccine second. So I think there's like a tier of like who's going to get it first, after that, and after that, and after
They
that.
have one that they're administering? I guess I missed.
Pretty close. It's coming. Like,
wow.
Close to coming out. That's why people are talking about it a lot on Facebook.
Okay.
And I need to sit down and do some more research on it. I don't directly work with patients with COVID. Like, I'm not in person working at this time, so I guess I don't know. I'll probably end up getting it. But he's very excited about getting it. I think he's nervous, and we talked a lot about how we feel like it's going to be like the flu, but we don't need to talk about COVID a lot.
Getting it, you mean getting the vaccine?
Yeah. But yeah, just feeling better. That damn COVID. So yeah. I think we can go back to the question for a second. I think your relationships with certain friends and people are more sincere. I think people like I know what you were trying to explain something and you just kind of trailed off, but I think like people are more open to asking you questions about sobriety and knowing that they're going to get a sincere answer and you're not judging the situation. I feel like people feel a lot of comfort in that.
Well, what I was trying to say was that there's two versions of people. There's when they catch on that I am going to remember and that I have like things that we can do to improve their situation. Mm-hmm. Then they pull back. Then there's other people who that's exactly why they came to me.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why they're talking to me is because they know that I'm not going to forget in the morning about this stuff. Yeah. And that because I have this lived experience that I can, give actual advice as to what they can do or like with other family members and loved ones. Because there's still, like, we're lucky that it's over in the sense that, like, we're not still trying to reconcile certain things. But it's really hard for people that are dealing with it right now, that are dealing with a family member right now, or a friend right now, and trying to take their feelings out of it. Because, yeah, we've said it before, but, like, even though it's what is categorized as a disease of choice, which is to say you chose to use the substance first, but you had no choice as to what it was going to do to your body and mm-hmm. how much it was going to take over your life. That being said, we are still the vehicle with which this disease lives. And it looks like we're choosing to introduce it over and over and over again. And choosing to, prioritize over other things. So it's really fucking difficult to try and take emotion out of it and try and come at it from like an objective standpoint.
Yeah.
Because not everybody knows the whole. And
well, even I knowing all that too, like I still had a lot of emotion and anger in the way I looked at you.
Yeah, but it wasn't like truly in your face, and you didn't have to educate yourself about stuff. Like you didn't really need to have the education as to how addiction works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But even someone that knows all that stuff, I still had a lot of emotion in how I felt towards you. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Like I had a lot of anger and everything towards you, even though I knew scientifically what was going on.
I guess I don't think that you like had fully accepted that though.
That you had a problem?
No. That it's still to some extent, like in the back of your mind, seemed like I was choosing to continue to do this thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is like it's hard until you really go through the shit and have to educate yourself, mm-hmm. Or have somebody who is willing to go to treatment and then they can relay this information. Until you actually go through that stuff, it's hard to separate that stuff because outwardly looking at this person, no, they're being a dick. They're saying these things to me. Just they know what gets me worked up. They know how to manipulate me so that they can use again. So it all looks like it's just them.
It's so crazy. I was thinking about this the other day too. I feel like I've been in a relationship with like 4 or 5 different people in the last 15 years. Like when we first were together, you were like very into smoking weed. Like your focus was that. Like you would sometimes like leave hanging out with me to go do that. So I always felt like that was more important than me. And then you stopped doing that. And then I had a different you while we were like first married. Because other things were going on with your addictive personality and your like lust, love, addiction kind of a thing was going on in the beginning. And then when we reconciled, it was a different Chris. So there's 2 there, and then there was reconciled Chris where we had kids and things were okay. And like we enjoyed like going to breweries and trying beers, but there wasn't like constant drinking like every day. And then I hit like the last 2 years, it was somebody else, like this heavy addiction, angry, mean, not involved with the family, shut himself away from everybody, Chris. And then in the last 300 some days, I've had to get used to another Chris. So it's like 5 different Chris's I've been in a relationship with in 15 years.
Well, and
I get people evolve over time. And so you're obviously, but It was just like, a lot of them did involve some type of substance, except that middle, like that the fourth one, or well, the one before who, so not a couple ones ago, like when we first had kids and we would just like hang out with people and occasionally drink. That one I felt like wasn't super involved. Like you didn't have your love lust thing. You didn't have alcohol, all that. And then it was alcohol, strictly alcohol, and then now who you are now. But I feel like all those Chris's had some type of addictive thing, like pot, then lust lovey-ish stuff, and then nothing. Well, I wouldn't say nothing, but I think we were coasting for a while, and then alcohol, and then now, I mean, I don't know what you would say you're...
Well, even over the last 6 months, there's been like more stuff that I've learned about like my mental health, and we're not like completely done with the work that I need to do. Like my physical stuff needs a lot of work because the more I slack off, the more pain I'm in throughout the day. So like I need to get back to, so there's still like a lot of improvement that needs to be made, but so I hopefully there will be like continued evolution and continued betterment, and
but it's interesting. I like realized like all these periods of time I've had to like adjust who I was to fit it, like piece together a relationship with you, like trying to grow with what's going on with you for like, okay, now we're here. And then when you were heavily addicted, it was like I had a lot of anger, resentment, but I'm still trying to keep our family together kind of a thing. And then now it's just like, okay, we're here now. Things should be okay. Like now we're just trying to, figure out your mental health stuff more and like just survive COVID and the pandemic. And
I think that over, what is almost a year though, like I think that there's stuff that you've learned about yourself as well.
Yeah. That I can be more comfortable in my skin and who I am. I feel like a lot of times I used alcohol to like be more comfortable around people. Like even if we weren't inviting people over to like hang out and drink, like I would make an effort to drink before people would come over. So I felt like I could talk more and be like, especially podcasting. That was one thing I was so out of my comfort zone where I'm like, if I have a couple drinks before someone shows up to podcast, then I'll feel like more loose and feel like I can engage conversation better because I am so introverted. I have nothing in common with anybody. That's in my mind. Like I'd be like, I have nothing in common with anybody coming over. I'm not a comedian. I don't do stand up. I don't do any of this stuff. So I'm not going to be able to talk to these people. Where I've learned over the past year, it's like, you can engage conversation with everyone. Me and Casey, like talking with Casey, I don't do comedy, but we can still on some level have a conversation. But even like sometimes going to your parents' house, like if we were all getting together, if I was like feeling super anxious, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna be the one drinking, you're driving today, right? So then I'd pound a couple drinks, maybe put a couple in the back of the car where that's just now that's crazy in my head where I'm like, whatever. Like I don't know. I just have anxiety in situations like this last week and
Who
help.
were we recording with where we learned the whole you doing dishes thing?
I can't remember. I do
you know
that.
what I'm talking about? Because there was an episode where we were talking about how you like people. There's people who have to fidget. There's people who have to do.
Yeah, I can't remember who you're talking
like
to, but
tying,
yeah,
strings and doing all this stuff, and damn it, this is gonna drive me nuts. But we were talking about how
for some reason
like,
I think it was Ashley. It doesn't matter who it is.
Oh, no, I think you're right, actually. Yeah. No, her name is Ashley.
Okay.
But we were talking about like like forcing people to endure certain scenarios, and me saying, "Would you stop with the dishes?" is actually making you feel even more anxious. So
Because I don't think other people notice that I'm doing that. I feel like
they do.
Oh, well, I don't care. It makes me feel comfortable. If it makes you feel uncomfortable.
But that's the thing is, whatever little uncomfortability that people feel because you're doing that shit, that's where I can step up and carry the conversation and then let you like kind of settle into things.
Yeah.
So that's what we learned is like sitting and stewing is what would make things worse rather than allowing you to kind of free flow and it because it alleviates that pressure. That's kind of like where we came to. But yeah, so like and almost every episode we've learned something new, whether it's mental health stuff, habit stuff, physical, like there's just been a lot of learning.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah. And my goal now is that we have our house put together and everything's good to go is to start focusing on my physical health again, because I let that go when we were starting the moving process, and I can feel like my mental health isn't the greatest it can be. Like I want to just sit in bed and watch TV all day, and I don't want to engage with anybody. Like I've gotten really bad at texting people back again or messaging people back just because it's like I feel exhausted. I'm not even talking. It's not like I'm talking on the phone, but it's just like I feel exhausted trying to engage conversations with people when they're like trying to talk to me. And it's like, I can tell that that's my mental health, where it's just like, okay, when you were working out every day, you were like very out there wanting to talk with people and all that. And so I just need to get back into it and not make excuses. And I feel like I've been doing a lot of excuses, but now I got none. My house is put together. I got a couple other things I need to do, but.
Well, there's that sense of accomplishment too. Like when you see a number, I walked a mile.
I know.
You did something.
Yeah. I did 25 minutes today.
Yeah. So like having that, instead of being like, I couldn't have walked 5 minutes. You're going, I knocked out.
Yeah.
So like.
Well, plus your brother and Todd carried that thing in, so I need to use it. And so that it's not like they moved it for
your
nothing.
Your elliptical?
Yeah, my elliptical.
Remember how we tricked Bryden into podcasting with us?
That was pretty funny.
That was pretty funny. That's coming out next week, folks.
Yeah, that's a good episode. That's another, like, that's a person, too, that I feel, like, comfortable having any conversation with. But there are people that you knew of me that you would have on podcasts where I didn't know them. So I felt like this, like, uncomfortability because you've talked so much about me. Like, when you first started doing comedy and people would come over and you talk so much about me and I didn't know really anything about these people. And then I was just, that's what made me so uncomfortable. And that's when I would do a lot of drinking.
Most of those people want to know more about you too.
Yeah. And then when you would leave, and go do open mics, I would sit at home, like get the kids to bed, and then I'd have a couple drinks because I'm like, well, I know Chris is out drinking. I'm going to have a couple drinks and watch TV.
Sure.
So, yeah, it's crazy what's changed over the last year.
Yeah, I know the year's not over, but
It's not.
very close.
We are very close. It's crazy. Because I stopped drinking January 17th. That was the last time I drank. And you were the one pushing me to drink to do that photo shoot. And I said, I'm fine. I don't need to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember that very, like, vividly. So.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Now I'm having deja vu. It's freaking me out.
Were you having deja vu?
Yeah.
Do I fart in the microphone or something?
No.
Oh.
Okay, it's gone.
Well,
now.
it's just weird. Like, yeah, like there were things that were. So there's a lot that's similar. Like there were things that were changing in my job. There were things that were changing in the podcast. Like we had changed up the way that the office looked. So there's a lot of similarities. So like that's like I kind of feel like certain things feel familiar, but not in like a nice way. Like it's a like it's like when somebody brings up something embarrassing from when you were a kid.
Yeah.
That's kind of what this time feels like to me now.
Yeah. Well,
because there's just a lot of shit. Maybe I'll get fired and I'll be able to say more things, but until then.
Well, don't get fired because we need to live in this house and we won't afford it. But we need more questions. We need people to submit questions.
Oh, if you're listening to this, Missy, the LADC, is coming on again. So after you listen to this, send in questions for. She is a licensed alcohol and drug counselor. This is what she does for a living.
I might have some questions too. I'll try and think of questions for Missy as well.
Yeah. And I got to email that fucking food addiction lady.
Yeah, I want to learn more about food addiction.
Yes.
Yeah, because I noticed.
Oh, you know what I want to look into too? Hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
If anybody has done hypnotherapy.
Yeah, if you've done hypnotherapy.
The chords.
Or
the springs. I mean,
yeah,
sorry.
if you've done hypnotherapy, reach out to us. I want to learn. I mean, obviously, Casey told us a bunch about it, but
yeah,
I'd love to dig into that a little bit. Because
if there's a way for me to, like, you keep bringing up to people that I used to eat vegetables all the time, and I'm like, God damn it, why don't I eat vegetables again? I enjoy it. I like vegetables.
Yeah, it's just that sweet craving you get.
Well, I think it's easier to hit the receptors. Well, there's three things: ease of access, flavor is like the instant gratification, and you typically get full faster on shit food that like you can just gobble, 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 gobble. Whereas with vegetables, like historically or notoriously, I should say, they almost make you feel like you're hungrier.
Yeah.
So you like remember I used to go through so many sugar snap peas.
Yeah.
Like you just don't feel as full, which shouldn't be a bad thing, but like it's just another thing that's easy to be like, how can I get full? Eating a bunch of muffins or like, there's all kinds of bad shit that you can just gorge on and not even realize that you've eaten however much you have, and just it's all bad.
Yeah.
It's all bad stuff. So if anybody's got any tips for kicking the eating stuff.
Yeah, please
because
send that.
people have told me before, like, drink a bunch of water, and
you drink so much water. I know.
So that hasn't been working.
I know. Because a lot of times people say if you feel hungry, you're probably just thirsty. But we both drink a ton of water now, where it's like,
I drink
that's
way more water than you do.
Not the case. So, yeah.
I drink so much more water than
you probably do.
We maybe shouldn't have done so much stuff before we started recording and thought about this a little bit.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. This will be a short one.
But I had to change cameras around because the camera freaked out one time and only it overheated basically because I had the light too close to the camera. And now that everything's finally in like a normal spot, the shadows aren't casting all weird, and they're very complimentary to how the person sitting in the other chair looks. And it's all this, that, and the other thing. Yeah.
Next week, I'm going to reach out to people, see if people want to be guests. I'm going to start reaching out to people. And I think a lot of people like the guest situation. I do too. I feel like there's only, because we talk about this constantly when we're not on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's hard to like, it's almost like reality show style where we're like, oh, remember that conversation we had? Bring it back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where it doesn't feel genuine.
Yeah, that's
like,
funny.
So, or
I do want to do, I was actually just thinking about this, how I would love for like 2021, like either the first episode of the Not So Anonymous or the first episode of Duck Duck Grey Duke, one or the other, to have it be an all ladies, and Kim Duke is leading the charge. I think that would be super fun. So if you are a lady and you think you're friends with Kim, or you think that she would love to chat with you on the thing,
hit me up.
Hit us up.
You know how to reach me. If you're my friend, I'll respond in a week.
Again, the Not So Anonymous on Instagram now. I'm going to set up an email soon so that it's not all confusing. There will be more continuity with this stuff. Yeah, subscribe, share these episodes.
Yes, please.
Makes a big difference. And as always, this episode is brought to you by betterhelp.com/DDGD. Support the podcast by supporting your mental health. Again, that's betterhelp.com/DDGD. And the reason we're leaving that one, it's complicated to go and change it.
Yeah.
The other is
it's a short, yeah.
Well, and we can use the advertisement on all of the podcasts.
And this is the bad time of year where people start getting really depressed because we're going to start getting snow. Mm-hmm. And people are stuck home more. So this is you don't have to drive to your therapist's office or cancel or not show up because the roads are bad. You can do it right from home, right from your smartphone, right from your computer.
Yeah, and they've got over 10,000 counselors and psychiatrists and this, that, and the other thing. Just professionals that are available to you. You can also go to cleancause.com/TNSAA for, was it 20% off?
20% off.
Those guys are, they're getting bigger, and they need
so
to be getting bigger.
for them. Yeah. Half of their proceeds go to people in recovery. So recovery scholarships. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So treatment plans. It's so expensive.
Yeah. It's
so wild how just the thousands of dollars that it costs to get better. It just sucks.
It does.
But that's the society we live in, unfortunately. I love you.
I love you too.
Oh.
I was going to say.
Is that not what you were going to say? You just want to get out of here?
Have to pee.
Well, hey.
Hey.
I love you.
I love you.
And with that, we will pass.